Hello, everybody. Hello. I'm very happy to be here with Mark, VP Sales Financial Services at CYSEC, a startup about the cybersecurity. We're waiting a little bit to have more people. How are you, Mark?
I'm fine, thank you very much, Maxence. Thanks for hosting us today.
Thank you to be here. It's a big pleasure for us. And I'm sure that all the people and the attendees are very interesting about this topic about the cybersecurity. So just little reminder for the attendees, if you want to ask some question or if you want to chat or to ask anything, you have on the right tab, you have a little tab chat, like Jose, hi Jose, and don't hesitate to ask question and speak about what do you want. So Mark, if it's okay for you, let's go for this masterclass.
Thank you, Maxence. Thanks for hosting us today. Good morning, everyone. So my name is Mark. I'm VP Sales Financial Services at CYSEC. We are a cyber security company based in Switzerland and in Paris and in France. Today I will talk about the challenge to protect business sensitive data on the cloud. And I will then introduce confidential computing as one of the most promising technology to protect data. So at the end of the presentation, we'll have a Q&A session. So the adoption of cloud and edge computing is extremely fast. So we live in an interconnected society where cloud, edge, IoT technology, and application produce a huge amount of data. And those data are fundamental for your companies and for your business to compete in this global market, and they must be properly managed and analyzed. So Gartner, they predict that the volume of data that the company will produce by 2025 will be multiplied by 5. So the challenge here for you is to cope with this increase and to make I mean, yeah, you have to absorb, this increase on this volume, and it makes no sense to do it with your own data center for different reasons, for cost reason, but also for the agility and elasticity, of the need of the use of the computing power. So here the message is that the moving to the cloud trend is expected to continue in the future. But of course, aside of the benefit of using the cloud, there are also all the cyber risk associated to it, and that's what we are going to see in the coming slides. So today I have good news and bad news for you, and I will start with the bad news. So the first one is that you are either part of Group 1, which is company that have been hacked already, or you're part of Group 2, so company that don't know yet they have been hacked. So joke apart here, it's a fact and a reality today. Being hit by a cyber attack is going to happen sooner or later. And the game here for you is to be as much prepared as possible to mitigate the impact of those cyber attacks. So there's no surprise. Here, this is an extract from the report from the European Union Agency for Cybersecurity. By the way, I invite you to go to the link and download the report and read it. But no surprise, cyber attacks continue to increase through the year, not only in terms of vectors and numbers, but also in terms of their impact. So the main reason for that, there's an ever-growing online presence. Business is going more and more digital in every industries. There are the rapid also transition of traditional infrastructure to cloud-based solution due to the urgent needs of remote working during the pandemics. You have also the emerging technologies such artificial intelligence that are used by cybercrime to conduct attacks, such deep fake and other techniques. There is also the lack of cloud-specific expertise that result in poorly secure and managed cloud deployment that encourage also all those cyber attacks. So attacks against cloud environments will continue to grow in the future and will have a greater impact as more and more organizations adopt cloud first strategies. So here you can see the main threat that are extracted from this report. So there's still the well-known malware, threat against data, social engineering, supply chain attacks against availability, denial of service of your system information, of the internet by itself. But the most trendy one that is on the rise is the ransomware. And ransomware has been assessed as the prime threat for 2022. So let's illustrate that with some numbers that are extracted from different sources, but most of them from the IBM data breach report 2022. So it's pretty accurate. So first, something that is very worried is that 45% of data breach are cloud-based today. And it's mainly due to misconfiguration. And as I mentioned before, company were urging, the migration from the data center to cloud-based solution due to the pandemic. But most of the time, they have been doing that with a lack of knowledge and best practice. So there's still very worried, to see the number of attacks that succeed on the cloud. 83% of organizations have had more than one data breach. So that means you are going to be targeted, but not only once, multiple times. So that's a fact. An interesting number also is $4.3 million US. It's the average total cost of a data breach. And here we take into consideration direct and indirect costs associated to the breach. So it includes everything from business downtime, loss of revenue, reputation, legal costs, up to the IT effort to recover and implement new solutions. It varies a little bit between industries, but in average, that's the amount. 41% the success rate of attack. So as you can see, it's pretty successful. Another number that is interesting is up to 200 days to discover cyber attack. So if we take the example of the ransomware that I mentioned earlier, that is one of the top trend in cybercrime. They have different phases where you have the initial access, then you have to execute the attack, then you start to elevate the privilege, so you start to navigate through the networks of companies. This discovery phase where you find out where are the most business sensitive data. Sorry. Until you really find the data you want to collect and to steal. So it takes time also to discover what they are doing. Another point also is that here you can see some example of companies that have been recently touched by cyber attacks. Here the learning is everyone is touched, small, medium, and large companies. Some attack or cyber attack are targeted towards very specific companies, but most of the attack are still random. So it makes no big difference if you are an unknown small company or a very large exposed multinationals. You are going to be targeted anyway. Just a few words also on the attack vectors. So here, you have very simple techniques like phishing or social engineering that don't need, lots of technical knowledge. And then you have the advanced exploit or denial of service where you need I would say, a more advanced technical knowledge to perform them. But with no surprise, I mean, the number one is phishing. So most of the attack, I mean, they start with phishing, with compromised password or stealing credentials. So very simple. Misconfiguration is still one big issue, and social engineering as well. You have all the scam where people are trying to trick you over the phone or by email or whatever to gain some knowledge and access to your information system. Let's also have a look at the threat actors. I think it's also interesting to understand who are behind all the cyber attacks and their motivations. So as you can guess, with the conflict also in between Russia and Ukraine, I mean, geopolitics continue to have a very strong impact on cybersecurity threat landscapes. In this context, there's a significant increase in activist activities. We also see, a lot of cyber actors conducting operation together with nation state or military together. So yeah, there's an increase with those group, and of course, I mean, cyber criminals that are looking for profit are very present at the moment because the geopolitical context is a very good ground, for fraud and scam. So cyber criminals mainly they are looking for profit. Nation state, as you can guess, is everything around geopoliticals, the activist links to geopoliticals and ideological motivation. Or terrorist group, it's a bit different. The thrill seekers, they're still there. I mean, people that are just hacking for fun, they say, okay, I did it. I've been able to enter this system information or to hack this company. And you still have all the insider threats as well. The people within the companies that are not satisfied. So those are all the guys that are trying to target your business. So cybercrime, it's a sector with no crisis. And the question is, why the sector has no crisis? For a simple reason, because the attacks succeed. And because it's a very, very lucrative business, and criminal organizations are making money out of it. And here I just took the example of the Conti gang. So Conti gang is one of the most famous ransomware gang. And as you can see here, they are very well organized. I mean, they are about 100 people within the organization. They are generating an estimated annual recurring revenue of $180 to $100 million a year. Here, I mean, it's just an estimation, based on what has been reported, but we can easily anticipate that they are doing probably much more than that. And those guys, they organize as a company, like our company, like your companies. So they have manager, coder, tester, administration, human resource. They are also handling communication. They also provide help desk, hotline, because once they had hacked into your system and they are asking you for a ransom, they will guide you through the payment, with the Bitcoin. So it's not easy for a company and always to transfer money in Bitcoin. So they will guide you through the process. So they are well organized. They also have a complete infrastructure. They are also selling their infrastructure as a service. So we are talking about ransom as a service. So they are hosting and selling their services to others. So yeah, pretty well organized, and those guys are very successful. So ransomware, it's a type of attack where threat actors take control of the target of your asset of your companies, and are asking for a ransom in exchange for the return of these assets. Here you have an average price of the ransom. So it's very broad. It starts from the individual like me and you, where if your computer is locked down, they may ask €200 or €250 up to a multi-million ransom for multinational companies. But it's an average overall to give you a bit of idea. Here in the ransomware, which is the main risk today for 2022, 2023 for a company, they've started with what we call simple extortion. And simple extortion is asking for a ransom to unlock the data. So they've started with that. Then the company, they've started to really implement a strong, non-corrupted backup disaster recovery plan. Because if you can recover your data from your backup, you may not need to pay the ransom. But then they came up with what we call the double extortion. So the double extortion, it's their response to the non-corrupted backup. So what they're starting to do is not only to lock your data to stop your business, but also to exfiltrate those data, those business sensitive data. And then they were asking for the first ransom, for the simple extortion, to unlock your data. But then they start to ask for a second ransom, to say, okay, now you have to pay, otherwise we are going to disclose your business sensitive data. So that's the double extortion. And now we are talking also about triple extortion. And triple extortion, it's also their answer to the response. I mean, we're not going to pay. So if you're not going to pay because your data are locked and they are going to put your business sensitive data on the internet, what they are going to do is they are probably going to ask for a ransom to your ecosystem, to your supply chain. Here there's an example, of a supplier from Apple who has been hacked and victim of a ransomware. They refused to pay, but the guys had all the information about the new technology for the MacBook Pro. So they turn to Apple and say, okay, we have such information. I mean, how much are you ready to pay? So that's it started with simple extortion, and now we are with triple extortion, that they may ask with you, but they also may ask with your suppliers. So the question is, what can be done to increase data protection in the cloud? So first, it's important to understand that cloud security is very different than data center security. So on the left, you have the data center security. And data center security assumes a physical perimeter. So it was your server, your network, your admins, your app. And you put it a perimeter security around to control your asset. But with the cloud, the legacy perimeter security is no longer valid and has disappeared. And existing practice and tools, they no longer work. So in the cloud infrastructure, server is not yours, network is not yours, admin are not yours, and sometimes even the application are not yours. So in the cloud, we need to move this security or the perimeter security right around the data. And this is something that is completely different and has changed. So for that, it's very important to understand also the life cycle of the data. And the data, I mean, your data can be in three states. So you have your data when they are traveling from one location to another, that we call data in transit. You have the data at rest, when they are stored in your hard disk database. And then you have the data in use. And the data in use is when your data are executed. When you are going into an application or when you process them with machine learnings, that's the data in use. So data in transit and data at rest, they are more mature concept. Solution exists now for years. despite the fact that today some organizations still fail to implement them properly. For example, data at rest. And that's also a reason why ransomware succeed, because some people don't really encrypt or protect very well their data at rest. But for today, we will really focus mainly on the data in use, which is where cyber criminals are shifting their focus today, because there is a gap of solution in this area. So after the bad news, the good news. Solution are coming, on the market. And one of the solution to protect data in use is called, you may heard of confidential computing. So confidential computing is an answer to protect the data in use. And confidential computing provide business with more trust that your data in the cloud will be isolated from cloud service provider, and they will remain secure and private. So that's a technology that will prevent unauthorized access and modification of your data while they are executed in memory. So it will provide you the data confidentiality and the data integrity you need during the operation of your data. So the main goal of confidential computing is really to isolate your code, your workflow, and data from the service provider by trusting only one hardware element, which is the CPU. So I will not enter into detail here, but there are two generations of confidential computing enclave. The first generation was provided by Intel SGX, which was a process isolation. So here you've been able for a couple of years now to execute part of your application or your code or the sensitive part of your application into this secure enclave. The problem was that it was very limited in terms of capacity and performance. And then it needed also to modify the code of your application. And now there is a second generation of secure enclave that is coming on the market, provided by AMD, so the CPU manufacturer with the AMD SAV. And in the future, Intel will also come up on the market with Intel TDX, which will be the exact same working technique as AMD. Where here the concept is to protect and run the full virtual machine into the enclave, the hardware enclave. So here you don't need to modify the application anymore, and the capacity is much bigger. So this is the definition of confidential computing. So the computing is performed in an isolated hardware-based enclave to protect data in memory during computation. So we call it trusted execution environment. So let's have a look now that we have talked about the technology, about what CYSEC is providing in this context. So at CYSEC, we have developed a solution that is called Arca Trusted OS. And Arca Trusted OS is a trusted execution environment for containerized application. So basically, it's a trusted OS, alternate Linux operating system, combined with a secure Kubernetes orchestrator that will contain system intrusion and avoid data compromission. And this solution will run inside the secure enclave, the confidential computing. So we will help you to ease the adoption of confidential computing and help you to protect your business sensitive data in transit, at rest, and in use. There's also an interesting report on that on the NIST report SP 800-190, where the NIST explain, why it's very important to use container-specific OS to reduce your attack surface, and how it is complementing the confidential computing to have a 360-degree protection of your data. So at CYSEC, what what we will offer is protection first. So we can help you to protect your data at rest in transit and in use on infrastructure you don't own and control. And the infrastructure you don't own and control, that's everything about cloud and edge. I mentioned earlier in the presentation edge computing. So edge computing is everything where you need to process the data closer to the source, close to the IoT, where you have to store, process the data closer to the source because you cannot bring them back to the cloud for performance issue and things like that. So there are use cases where you will need to protect the data also on the edge. We'll help you also to isolate your data from cloud providers, admins. We will help you to reduce the attack surface. We will also prevent the attack propagation inside your system information, something that is used, in ransomware. We will also check the integrity of your execution environment to prevent against corrupted or unauthorized OS or execution environment to boot. We will help you to ease the adoption of confidential computing, help you to mitigate the risk of the OS configuration and the hardening activities associated to it. We will take over for you the vulnerability management process, so you don't need to look specifically at this part. And we will also provide an homogeneous security from data center to the cloud to the edge. So you can deploy the same trusted execution environment, use the confidential computing, whether you're on your own data center, on the cloud, or on the edge. And we will also help you to comply with the NIST recommendation and to comply also with strict data protection regulation. So in terms of just a few of use cases, so everything around sensitive data on the cloud. I mean, if you have business sensitive data on the cloud, CYSEC on confidential computing is an answer for that. Same at the edge, where you need to protect those data that are out of your control. We can also help on the hybrid architecture. So if you have business process that are running partially on-prem, on the cloud, and on the edge, so we can also secure the interaction between those three different locations. Everything around multi-party computing. Here I'm thinking, especially in my domain, in the finance, in the fraud prevention and money laundering, for example, where you have a bank or multiple banks that would like to share information about fraud or money laundering, but want to make sure that their business sensitive data remain protected. They want to participate, in the model and the machine learning models to get benefit from this multiple data from different banks, but they want to keep control of their data and make sure that no one else in the group can interfere in the data. Confidential computing can help in that as well. Everything around blockchain, digital asset protection as well. Confidential computing is also an answer to protect all the keys and the wallets and the signature and the process that are running on top of HSM, for example. So these are a few examples of use cases. There are many more in different industries, but it gives you an idea of where you can apply confidential computing. Just a few words about CYSEC. So founded in 2018, we're a team of a bit more than 30 people. We have a headquarter in Switzerland, European headquarter now in Paris, in France, and we are active in different industries. On my side, on the financial services, but we have also a division in space, Industry 4.0. But basically, that's a solution and a technology that can apply for every business that needs to protect business sensitive data. Yeah, that's it for me. So thank you very much for your attention, and I think now we can open the Q&A session.
Okay, thank you very much, Mark. It was very interesting. But personally, I learned a lot of things about cybersecurity. So it was very cool, very clear for me. And on the chat, I don't have any, I just have one question for the moment. It's about Julien Pézé. Does it work to train or infer all the AI models? It's a question about Julien Pézé.
Can you ask the question again?
Does it work to train or infer EA models?
I don't really understand the question and the context about
Yes,
artificial intelligence here.
maybe Julien can give more clarification about your question. Yeah, sure. Okay. Do you see the chat, Mark?
Yeah, I can see the chat now.
Okay.
But can Julian speak or not?
No, it just
Okay.
can. So waiting the question of Julien. About data protection. But if you want, you can. You have the tab questions. You have the question to see the question of Julien. It will be maybe more easier for you.
Where is the question?
Just next to the chat tab.
So the question, Julia, is whether you can use confidential computing in order to host AI models and to train with several data. Is that your question?
Yes, easy, yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's you can protect. Confidential computing can definitely host AI models. So if you have IP, on artificial intelligence, on the way you're applying artificial intelligence on a set of data, and something is very key or critical for your business, this is definitely something that you can protect with confidential computing. So yes, the answer is yes, and that's one of the use case. The one I've mentioned, for example, for fraud prevention or money laundering, that's exactly that. So not only you want to protect the data that you bring in the models, but you would like also to protect the IP of the AI or machine learning models, because that's proprietary and that's something you have developed. So definitely, it will protect those those AI models from being tampered or observed by external parties. So yes.
Okay. Yuka, thank you for your answer. Maybe we can wait 1 or 2 minutes if we have any questions. Don't hesitate on the question tab, on the chat, as you want. We have another question. So if you want to go on the question tab about Alexandra Vaillant, what is the trust model of your solution when deployed?
So the trust model of Arca Trusted OS, it's really about data. System intrusion. So we would like to protect from an attack what we call top down. So if you have an application or process that has been compromised within a container, we'd like to mitigate the propagation laterally, so left to right to other application, but also to mitigate the propagation top down, so to compromise the operating system in order to attack another business process. So that's the first one, and the second one is what we call the bottom up threat models. So someone who will corrupt, the hardware or the lower stack in the cloud service provider, to take control of the operating system in order to access the data. So there's really this bottom up and top down attack that we'd like to mitigate. And then there is also the data compromission. So to make sure that your data is protected during the tree state of the life cycle. So at rest, in transit, and in use.
Okay, great. I have also another question about Damien. Well, it's a very long question if you want to read them.
So how your solution works in managed services context, knowing that all layer hardware OS are provided by the cloud provider. Okay, so here in the stack, you have the hardware, the host OS, and the hypervisor that is provided by the cloud provider. So our solution will work as a guest OS. So inside the virtual machine, or the confidential VM, we call it, that will run into the confidential computing, the trusted execution environment. I mean the hardware element. We will be the guest OS. So on the cloud provider, you can select Arca Trusted OS as a guest OS, and you will run then your containerized application or Kubernetes practice on top of this guest OS, which is Arca Trusted OS.
Okay, very clear. I think it's finished for the question. Mark, if you're okay, can I give your email for on the chat if someone want to ask a question in the future? I don't know. There are some.
Yeah, no worries. I think you're going to share probably the presentation as well.
Yes, for all the attendees, I will share the replay of this masterclass. So I think, well, maybe we can wait a little bit, but it's finished for the question. Do you want maybe to add something else, Mark, or it's okay for you?
No, I mean, if happy to take questions also offline when you communicate our credentials and company informations. It's in the presentation, so my email, my mobile phone. So I'm happy to deep dive. I mean, individually with each of you if you have specific question. For Damien, who asked the question, we have much more information on the trust model and on the context of CSP. That's something also we can share with you offline if you want to better understand what confidential computing is providing as a threat model, what the operating system is providing as a threat models, and how the difference and how they work together. So we have much more detailed information on that. So happy to have individual chat if needed.
Yeah, so thank you again, Mark. Thank you for your presentation. It was very cool. And for the person who are here for all these startups, I will send you now the link of our next masterclass. It will be on the 8th December at 11 and 15 a.m. like usual. So thanks a lot, everybody. Thanks, Mark, and wish you a very great day and see you very soon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Enjoy your lunch, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.